Hi guys, welcome to this month's dispatches. Before I get right into the dispatches themselves, I'd just like to say a few words about my recent trip down to Australia, down in fact to Brisbane and Sydney. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to Melbourne and Adelaide this year. However, the visits to Brisbane and Sydney were fantastic. I got to meet young Anthony Williams, who is the son of the late Brett Williams, who ran Toy Army Workshop in Brisbane. And at least for the moment, Anthony has taken over. And with the help of his fiancée, Leilani, they've done a fantastic job of reorganizing the store with all kinds of great displays and lots of extra space that seems to have come out of nowhere that makes it much easier to get around the shop and see the collections. So congrats to Anthony and Leilani. And they've also been helped by two other well-known Brisbane collectors, Mark Harrison and Phil Charlwood, who also stepped into the breach to assist Anthony after his father's sad passing. So congrats to all of them. The store is looking great. If you're in the Brisbane area, I strongly urge you to go and see it. In fact, it's almost like a brand new store. So I'll call it the new Toy Army Workshop. And again, I was very fortunate while in Brisbane, I was the guest of the aforementioned Mark Harrison. I stayed with Mark and his wife Maren in their lovely house on the outskirts of the city and was able to spend a bit of time looking over Mark's incredible collection. Not only is his collection one of the best in Brisbane, I think it might even be one of the best in Australia. Now, while I was in Brisbane, we also had a special Saturday night dinner, which in the past had been organised by Brett on behalf of Toy Army Workshop and King Country. And this time, Sven de Brekkeler from Peter Nathan Toy Soldiers stepped into the breach, and he organised the Saturday night event in the same location that we had before. It was a great night. We had almost 40 collectors, and we had a lot of kind words said about Brett, which were well deserved. But it was a chance for us all to connect and just talk toy soldiers and all kinds of other things during that visit. So after a few days in Brisbane, it was down to Sydney, and there I was very much in Sven's capable hands. And of course, as again, some of you will know, the store Peter Nathan Toy Soldiers, which is still called Peter Nathan Toy Soldiers, even though Sven is now the proud owner of the company after Peter's retirement, the store has moved from Queen Victoria building. In fact, it moved a couple of years ago to their relatively new premises on Druitt Street. It's literally a hop, skip, and a jump from QVB, Queen Victoria building. Terrific store. And again, I was in there for 5 full days working with Sven and his wife Sonia. Great seeing how they've developed the store, how much bigger it is than the old store, and even better displays than the old store. But great time there. And we also had an event down in Sydney, which again was well attended. Great to see a lot of old faces, familiar faces, but a couple of new ones. So that was also very enjoyable. One of the things I've always mentioned about Sydney is it's probably one of my all-time favourite cities in the world. It's got an amazing harbour. I'm fortunate that the hotel I stay in is right on the harbour, and I get beautiful views of the bridge and the Opera House. So I really enjoy that. And you wake up every morning, you see these amazing sunrises, and every night you see these incredible sunsets. So that's an added bonus for Sydney. Again, great place to visit. Highly recommend it. And as I say, many thanks to everyone in Australia, especially Brisbane and Sydney, who came to the events, and to the organisers of those events, which for the most part was Sven, helped by Anthony and by Mark as well. So without further ado, we'll finish with that. let's get into what we have this month. Well, as I mentioned before, we didn't do very much in July because we've been had delays at the factories. Well, finally things have started to come through, and you can see quite a collection in front of you here. But let's begin with our brand new Egyptian chariot, or I should say the Pharaoh's chariot. Now, we did one many years ago when we began the ancient Egypt collection, and it's taken us a long time to get around to doing a brand new one. Well, with all the things that we learned from the very first Egyptian chariot, the new one, I think, is much stronger. In fact, I know it's much stronger. We designed it that way. Still very colourful. Got two Arabian horses pulling the chariot itself and a figure of the Pharaoh on the back. So that will be available from, I believe, mid-August. And I've certainly done all the packaging for it. Very nice set, and will work great with all the existing ancient Egypt characters and personalities. Now, from ancient Egypt and all kinds of Egyptian figures, we go to these little guys here. Now, as again, some of you will know, some of you may not know, next year, 2026, is going to be the 250th anniversary of the foundation of the United States of America. So we thought it was about time that we celebrated that revolution and the creation of that great country. And as you know, we have our own store in San Antonio, Texas. And apart from visiting Australia, one of my other great joys is visiting America. And while I was there last year, in fact, I was reminded of the fact that 2026 was going to be the 250th anniversary. So it got me thinking once more about the American Revolution. And back in the day, and over the years, in fact, King countries produced quite a few American Revolutionary War figures. So we decided to get back into it full steam ahead. And this is just the first release of some British Redcoats. All new British Redcoats at that. Now, these are from the 4th Regiment of Foot. Now, that was actually one of the royal regiments, and that's why the facings on the uniforms were blue facings on the red coats. And that's what we've got here. So we've got 13 different figures that you can see, or you will see in closer inspection on display. And they're all action figures. Quite a few of them are two-man sets, and I draw your attention to this one here of a seriously wounded officer who's being supported by one of his soldiers. Great little two-figure set. We got another pair of casualties here, and obviously another of the American marksmen has taken out another redcoat. But along the front here are a range of different action redcoat figures. We've got a lot more in the pipeline, but this is just the first taste. And I should say that on the American side, we've also got a brand new range of American Continental soldiers. And in fact, the ones we're doing is an extension of some that we did several years ago, which was George Washington's bodyguard company. So you'll see that in upcoming dispatches. But for the moment, we've got the Redcoats coming out, and there'll be more to follow them. And of course, the Americans. And we're looking at doing some very famous personalities to go with that. So we're going to go from Redcoats to this rather exciting display on my left here, which is, you'll see these Escalade scaling ladders. These were movable scaling ladders that could be put up against the walls of a castle, and then the men-at-arms, in this case, Crusader men-at-arms, are climbing up. And what we've done, we've basically produced two ladders. They're basically the same, however, they're painted, each one is painted slightly differently. And we've got each ladder, Escalade ladder, comes with a set of 3 individual men-at-arms. Now, these are not just, 3 men-at-arms repeated 3 men-at-arms here. that each is a completely original figure. So in actual fact, there are 6 different men-at-arms, but split into 2 sets. So each escalade ladder comes with its own 3 individual men-at-arms, and they're all in different positions, climbing up the ladder. Great little sets. And in fact, what I can tell you in advance is in a couple of months' time, we'll also have a battering ram with 5 figures actually pushing the battering ram into position against the castle gate doors. Another little figure that again was suggested by several collectors of our medieval series is this guy here, Medieval Drummer. And again, we've never done anything like this before, but decided it would be a great individual figure to add on to any medieval scene, whether it be in battle like this, or maybe at a tournament, or maybe just going around the castle itself. So he's going to be available coming into it. Now, let me talk a little bit more about this, what we're calling the medieval castle facade. Over the years, we've done many kinds of display items, and in the past we've used polystone and other materials. Now, while all those are great, as many of you know, polystone is very, very heavy, and that demands a big box. That also means that transportation costs are extremely high, and we've been racking our brains trying to come up with a way that we can produce an inexpensive but still colorful and useful display piece that can show off things like scaling ladders, and we can even put other enemy figures behind the battlements opening fire on the attackers. So this is something that we've come up with this time, which is a 3-part facade of a medieval castle. And at the same time, we realized that if you've built a facade, you have to have something that supports the facade. And behind the facade are actually 3 black boxes that come flat pack and are easy to assemble. And you can put those together, no glue is required or anything. And you can just fit these together, put them behind the facade itself, and it acts as both a support for the facade, and if you want, it's up to the individual collector. You can either use blue tack to tack the facade onto the box behind it, or if you want to do it permanently, you can use some Elmer's glue or something like that to actually make it permanently attached. However, the idea behind this was to produce a display item that was easy to pack, did not take up a lot of space, and as I know, many of you collectors have just got a display cabinet or a shelf where you can put your displays on. And it means that you don't have to have a huge big area to put in a fully 3-dimensional building. I think what you will see here is how a 2-dimensional foam board facade, which is both light and easy to pack away, but easy to put on display, works equally well and dramatically with a battle scene like this. So you'll see them all in more detail when we do the individual photographs. But what I can tell you is we took this down to Australia to show those collectors that came to our events or met up with us in the stores in Brisbane and Sydney. And the response was really positive. And the fact that compared to doing a fully 3-dimensional polystone building, the cost of this is unbelievably inexpensive. You'll get a great quality product at a very, very affordable price. So look out for that. Finally, very end, 2 little lone figures. If you look closely, you'll see this little Roman centurion who's, I think, he's sheltering next to the wall here. And this is what I'm calling Centurion Lucius Vorenus. If you remember the television series Rome, which was a fantastic, one of the great television series, only ran for 2 seasons from 2005 to 2007, but it really was a look at Rome behind the scenes of the Republic as it was during the time of Julius Caesar and his successor, Octavian, who then changed his name to Augustus. And there was lots of real Roman characters, Roman historical characters in the series, like Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, Cleopatra, to name but three. However, the two main protagonists were two Roman soldiers, Centurion Lucius Vorenus and his buddy, the legionary Titus Pullo. Again, wonderful television series. I believe you can still find it on things like Netflix. If you've not seen it, I urge you to see it, watch it. It's terrific. So this is the first of the two. We've got a figure of Titus Pullo in development, but this is the first one that we had. So we thought, let's bring him out. And again, it can work on any of our Streets of Ancient Rome scenes, or it can work in a Roman encampment, or even in a Roman battle. The choice is up to you. It's a great little figure. Now, another lone survivor here down the front is this little John Ford cavalryman. I'm not quite sure how we managed to do this figure and he wasn't released with other ones, but we found the master of the figure and we said, look, let's not keep him in the box, let's get him produced. So it's a lying prone rifleman with his carbine. And as you can see, he's slightly wounded, got a bandage around his head, but he's obviously taking aim at either some Apaches or some roving other tribe, whatever you want to call it. So he's also going to be available in August. So there you have it. Quite a lot of soldiers. I should tell you, by the way, going back to this castle facade, on the battlements here are a whole raft of our Saracens, fighting Saracen archers and swordsmen and axemen. And again, worth taking a look at those. If you're thinking of getting the escalade with the Crusader men-at-arms climbing up, you could do a lot worse than get some of these Saracens to fight them on the battlements. However, that's the story so far. A wee bit disjointed, but again, thanks for watching. Hope you find something for you. And if there's nothing this month, well, there'll always be something in the coming months. So in the meantime, enjoy and take care. Thanks.